Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and today I'm going to show you some of the carts I use to transport my equipment to and from gigs. So I have several carts. These 5 different types of carts are ones that I use all the time. Now, sometimes the venue, they'll come out with a big sort of hand truck kind of thing with some plywood on it to help me out. But normally, this is what I'll use. I have a system of loading and unloading, and these different carts serve me for different kinds of gigs depending on how much I have to bring, what kind of cases I'm going to bring, all that. So we'll start with the biggest one and then we'll go down from there to the smallest one. So this largest cart I have is my oldest one. I've had this cart, I just don't even know how long, but well over 30 years. And I've used this for lots and lots of gigs, but it's just very big and very heavy. And this was called a multi-cart. I can't remember the name of the company that made it. It could be Rock and Roller. I don't know if they were around, but it doesn't have any kind of logo or anything on it. But it was called the multi-cart. And the thing I like about this one is it's got inflatable tires. Also, you can replace any of these tires, I should mention that now, easily. If you go to Harbor Freight, you know, everybody's favorite cheap tool store, they're always having some sort of sale on these tires. And you want one cart that has tires that you can inflate that are big. The reason is sometimes you'll be playing outside or have to, traverse some kinds of hills and grassy spots and things like that. This is the kind of cart to get for that has big wheels. It can go anywhere. It's heavy. It's solid. Some of these other carts are not so good for that. Definitely the smaller wheel carts won't work. So lots of times you have uneven pavement, brick pavers, things like that. The rubber wheels, the heavy inflatable ones, that's the way to go. So just so you know, you can replace wheels from tubeless to solid rubber to inflatable, all that easily. You just got to make sure you find the right size. Normally it's 5/8 or so, just depending on the size of the cart. So all these carts expand out. They're basically right now closed up. So I will show you some of this. There's not a lot of space in this room. I got lots of stuff in here. I got a drum set and other things. So I'll do my best. And I will use my cell phone camera to give you close-ups. So we'll expand this one. And hopefully we'll move these out of the way. Hopefully you can see how big this is. It's giant, okay? By far the biggest cart I have. So it's about, I think this thing is about over 5 feet wide. So you can get all kinds of stuff on here. It's got a really high push bar, which I love. It's got big wheels with locks. All right, that's very important. If you're up on a hill, you park somewhere, you don't want things rolling away. And like I said, I use inflatable tires on here. All right, so that's it. It locks with these little, I don't know if you can see it, I'll give you a close-up here. So it locks with these little screws here. All right, and then on a lot of the carts, I'm not sure they're on this one, but there's a button that keeps it open. Yeah, it's in the middle on this one. So it's under here. Let's see if we can get a shot of that. Probably not. I don't know what that looks like because I can't bend that low anymore. So it may come out, it may not. But there's a little button and you push it in. Just be careful you'll pinch your finger in there. And originally this was all coated. Well, this part, definitely not this part, was coated with this non-slip tape. That stuff tends to degrade pretty quick, but I have a bunch of it, so I replace it every once in a while. I don't use this cart anymore, or as much. Every once in a while I'll use it when I have a huge load. And the way these things work, put this down. So to close it up, the back end, in other words, the end with the big tires, you press down on this cord and you close it, and then you do the same here, like that, and then you press the button and push it in, and that's what you got. So this cart's heavy. It weighs about maybe 40 pounds, 30, 40 pounds. I haven't weighed it, but it feels like that, okay? It feels like my Clevelander drum, that heavy. All right, and that's it folded up. So it's the biggest cart here as far as getting in a car. It's a little cumbersome, so, but it's so handy for strange terrain and things like that, or just really big loads. Now, don't forget about the bungee cords. You're going to need a bunch of those again. You get these at Harbor Freight really cheap. Get long ones and short ones. I have a whole box of these. All right, and also don't get the metal ends. Get the plastic ends. And one other thing I got to tell you, because I had this happen to a friend, and I know this seems kind of weird, but whenever I'm dealing with bungee cords with this, I put on goggles. It seems strange, right? But I had a friend, he had the metal part of one of these come and hit him in the eye, blinded him in one eye, many, many years ago in New York City. And I never forgot that. It was gruesome. It was really bad. So I always, if I'm dealing with a lot of bungees, I have these woodworking glasses. I just put them on, you know, just in case, and that way I don't have to worry about going blind while I'm doing a gig. All right, so I recommend that the biggest clips like this that you could find, all right, and they'll clip right onto the base of that, and you'll be secure. So you can't have enough bungees when you're doing these things to keep your equipment from rolling off the cart. So that's my biggest cart, and that's an old multi-cart. We'll push this out of the way. And now my second largest cart is this rock and roller. So rock and roller has been around for a while. I'm not sure how long, but a long time. And they've made so many different kinds of carts, I can't even keep track. But they have all kinds of accessories for the carts, shelves and things like that. It's fantastic. They are expensive. A big cart like this will almost cost you, the biggest one, like almost $400, which is crazy. But you'll use the hell out of it. So they're really handy. They're made really well. You know, same principle as that old one with, that's why I think that's a rock and roller, because it uses the same kind of press principle on this metal wire that you drop and it folds up. So it folds up just like the other one. And then it expands. There we go. All right, the old one didn't do that, so it just gets a little bit jammed. But I don't think it's this, it may be the same size as the other one. It probably is, all right? I can check that. But it's a big cart. It's not as heavy duty as that one. It's a little bit thinner all the way around. The tires are hard rubber, not inflatable. So you don't have that cushioning. You can change those out though with, like I said, the Harbor Freight big heavy ones. And you can get a heavy tire on there. You don't want it too big or otherwise it'll be tilted, all right? It's got the lock. So, you know, for all purposes, this is pretty much the same cart as the old one, the multi-cart. They are always coming out with new models and things. I'll show you what happens to this tape. You see how it's curling up, and this is a relatively new cart. So you see how this tape is curling up. It'll happen. You can just put some rubber cement on there. And this is important to have that on there because it keeps like a big drum case from slipping off. And then you'll bungee it to the bottom here. That's why you need those big clips, because they'll fit around there on your bungee cords, okay? One thing I like about these, it's got the real high bar here. So what'll happen is you'll stack things, but you'll still have room to get your hand in there. So you can stack them higher. I wouldn't recommend it, but at least this high, which will be a bass drum case laying down and maybe a floor tom case, pretty close. All right? So this will fit pretty much everything. Let's close it up now, see if we can do it. And it's got the same pin there as the other one. It is a little stiff though. So now the cart I use more than any other cart. And this is the rock and roller. See if it's got a name on it. I don't know. It's kind of so worn out. Rock and Roller R2. All right. So it's the smallest cart, I think. And I use this just pretty much every day, really. I'm bringing stuff in with the orchestra, doing gigs. This is the one that was in that video, and I'll show you some of that here, with the nesting kit that I posted. This is the cart that I use. So we'll open it up. And this doesn't have the problem of being too tight. Now, we don't have a lot of length here, okay? So the way I kind of organize my loading is I'll have a case here that's about an 18-inch bass drum case with a nesting kit. I'll have one of those hard cases here, all right? And then I'll have my cymbals, as you see in this picture. And then I'll put the snare drum on top of the bass drum, and then I'll put whatever bag I have that I'm using, and then the carpet on top, and then I'll bungee all that, and it's very, very safe. The only thing about this cart, it's terrible on bad terrain, like cracks in sidewalks. It's not something you want to be, you know, pushing through a city streets or things like that. For that, you need the bigger cart with the rubber wheels. All right? But I have two of these, and I always have them somewhere. A few times I've needed another one because I'm doing different gigs, and then I leave one at the gig and I don't have it. So I'm thinking about getting another one of these little ones because I use them so much. So if you have a small kit, this is the cart to get. It really folds up super easy. It has that button once again. And remember, the back is the one that you fold where the big tires are. And it's very light. Probably about, I don't know, 15 pounds, maybe 20. Okay, and so it'll fit anywhere in the car. It's just upside down, whatever, super light. All right, and you know, it's well made. I've had this one for maybe about 15 years, both of them, and you know, they really hold up. So that's the one I recommend getting if you don't have a big giant kit. Okay, so another cart I use sometimes is this delivery cart. You've all seen these with the UPS guys. And these can be really, really handy. The good news about this is it folds up really nice like that. And again, it's a compact, even lighter package because it's aluminum. All right? It does not have brakes on the wheels. So you can always change out the wheels, but it does not have brakes. And also, these wheels, they don't swivel, but the back ones do, which is different than the rock and roller carts where the little wheels swivel in the front, what I consider the front. Okay? So both wheels are the same size. And you basically just, it's folded, you do that, and this goes up and down when you need it to. And then also it'll expand if you bring that up. You can pull it out. Okay? Like, or push it in, sorry. Like that. So you can make it smaller if you need to. And it's even smaller for getting in your car. So this is the most compact cart that I have. It'll fit in the trunk of a Miata. My wife has a Miata, and we throw it in there sometimes. Okay, so it works super well. And then you see it folding up, and then this will go down, and there you have it. It's just a little tiny square, very light, great. So this is a cart that I use a lot of times when I don't have a lot to carry. Right here. All right, and finally, we have the ever-present luggage cart, which I used forever in the airport when I used to fly. In the old days, before 9/11, we could fly with our cymbals. Believe it or not, not anymore. It's one of the reasons I stopped touring, because getting from point A to point B was such a nightmare, and getting my equipment, I always had to rent stuff. I stopped bringing cymbals and all that. It just got to be too much of a headache. So now I just drive everywhere. And this cart is, everybody's seen these in the airport. It folds up like that. It is obviously the lightest, about maybe 4 or 5 pounds. This is a real good one. It doesn't have a model, I don't think, on it. Wait a minute. It's so old that it's all worn out. But I use this quite a bit when I bring the concert snare drum with the orchestra, one of my snares, cymbals, stuff. You can stack stuff on here, and you see all the bungees that I use. And then just walk around just like that. It's great. Saves your back. Okay, so again, one of my most used carts, but not for a drum set, obviously. Now, they do make these carts, I've seen them, that you know, are made for drum sets, and they look like giant hand trucks. That you know, don't mess with those. They're too cumbersome, and they're also difficult to get in to your car and all that. But I would definitely suggest, because I've researched this, obviously I've been doing it so long, for years, I'd definitely get one of these, the smaller rock and roller cart, this one, the mini cart, okay? And then design your cases and drums, if you can, so they'll fit on there. All right, so that's the first thing. If you're playing a little smaller kit, like a jazz kit, or even a 20-inch bass drum will fit on here, a nesting kit. If you're playing bigger gigs, I would suggest this cart. Okay, this is a great cart. I would replace the tires, the back tires, with inflatable tires that have some cushion to them. And that would be cheap. The tires, like I said, at Harbor Freight are really, really inexpensive. And you wait for a sale. There's always 10%, 15% off sales that you can take advantage of, okay? And then just change them out and you're good to go. The only thing about inflatable tires is they will deflate. So I always carry an air compressor in my car, like a DeWalt, that I can fill up my car tires or someone else's tires if they're in trouble. I've been doing that forever. I have a big flex volt battery I have in there, and this thing, it'll fill it up real fast. So do that, but I definitely recommend changing out the tires here. So if you watch this in conjunction with my drum cases video, my hardware cases video, and the cart video, and the nesting kit video, you get a pretty good idea of how I travel around and do this. And every single day, I'm either going to a rehearsal or a gig and bringing equipment. That's going to be your life if you're a professional musician, but especially if you're a percussionist or a drummer. So these are the best investment in safety for your equipment and you, and as far as peace of mind that you can make so you're not lugging, things that are going to fall on the ground or, things that aren't going to be safe, around. And it just makes your life easier. Anything you can do to make your life easier in this profession, do it. So we'll see you soon.